what's up, guys? It's Elmer Brown Enriquez, your host of Artistic Visions, the show where we like to go in-depth with young artists at OCAD, talk about their art, what they like to talk about in their art, and what they would like to talk about in their art. In today's episode, I got a very special guest, Shaamas. How's it going?
I'm good. Very excited. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course.
And yeah.
No, thanks for coming on. I'm excited. We've been in a couple courses in the INTM program.
True.
And I've been able to see some of the work you've been not only done, but you've been working on and working towards. You know what? Let's just start with one of the first pieces here that you have sent to me today.
Sure.
And it is House of Sham. And you know what? Let's just go into it. What do you want to talk about in this piece?
Okay, so yeah, the context behind this one is it was like I had an assignment and it involved making a 1-minute video about yourself using like the limitations of like time and basically describing yourself through that. So I had 1 minute to basically do exactly that, and I decided to go down a route that really showcased my interest in like analog and themes of nostalgia. I figured doing that by utilizing the medium of camcorders and CRT TVs. This whole thing's actually shot through a CRT TV. Yeah, this is like the assignment or video that highlighted that shift in my
Like your aesthetic,
yeah, my niche pretty much. I really discovered my, I guess, abilities through this, and I also like you'll notice that I still explore themes that are prevalent in my other works.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, I think you have a sense of like kind of wonder in your work. You have like,
Sure.
Kind of like a rebellious, like, I don't want to grow up to be an adult. What is this? Shit. You're very playful and not like a like actual. I think you're playful with your editing, and that's really cool to see. Yeah. Like we see a lot of different like editing styles and different clips from different things, as well as different graphics and like motion graphics specifically. But we also have like really interesting sounds as well that are very nostalgic. Like obviously, I feel like you're parodying like House of Dead, or because like I played a bit of that game. I played the Typing Dead, actually.
Really?
Yeah, I played the typing one.
Holy shit.
I went crazy on the keyboard with that one.
I remember hearing about that one. Yeah. There was like, you gotta like, you just have to like write words.
Yeah, they give you words and you type it.
And
that's
crazy.
how you kill the zombies.
No fucking way.
And like I have good memories with that. So like seeing this, it's like pretty cool seeing how you're playing with it. And yeah, I just absolutely love like that CRT aesthetic and how much you play with it.
Totally.
Is every single clip with this kind of aesthetic all from the CRT? Like, are you playing an edited version into the CRT and recording that screen?
Exactly. I would like make videos through like the laptop and then connect it to the CRT. I would then stream the edits that I have and capture it again through a separate camera, having it pointed at the CRT, and adjusting with like the I guess the focus and the actual like zoom of the camera that I have, and making so that it fits totally. I have to like change the angle a certain way sometimes, and that like offers its own kind of effects. But yeah, I find that like the camera adjusted through ISO and whatnot really produces the kind of like weird halo effect.
Yeah, like that glare.
Exactly. Exactly. Overall, I'm just trying to like really emphasize the features of analog through like post-production and my use of the camera itself. But yeah, you're right about House of the Dead. I'm like definitely highlighting aspects of my childhood, growing up in like the early 2000s and still having like this like shift from 90s technology into the modern age. I feel like back then they had games like House of the Dead and other old PS2 games and stuff on like the PC and whatnot, and I guess I felt like highlighting my past was definitely an important aspect to this assignment that I was doing about myself.
Yeah.
And yeah, I tried doing that through analog.
Yeah, 100%. And you know what? I kind of want to just like pry a little bit because I'm kind of interested. Because I mean, I own a couple CRTs. I have like 5 in my place. Smash player over here. But
Hell yeah.
I'm pretty curious as to what drew you specifically to the CRT and why the CRT and why not other visual mediums like a projector, projection mapping. Why specifically CRT?
Yeah, there's just like this overall like nostalgia that's brought back from the medium itself, I feel like, which is like part of the effects that I'm trying to have on certain people. I want them to be feeling somewhat nostalgic of that past. And the overall aesthetic is very unique to the medium itself, and it has like that very specific effect that I want, that other aesthetics don't have the ability of replicating. Also, I find myself also very inspired by like music videos of Ken Carson. Like specifically from like the cinematographer Cole Burnett and his heavy use of like the medium. I find that like the audience that I'm trying to cater to definitely revolve around that sort of like aesthetic and analog medium.
Yeah. No, this is really awesome stuff. Like, we literally just actually came from a class, and like even in that project, you use a little bit of the CRT, not like this to this extent, but you still have that motif of like the CRT, and I think you really have like a really great idea of like the CRT as like kind of like more of a character.
Yeah.
Like it kind of captures memories for you. It's almost like a I don't know, like a box you put away under your bed, and you just like visit it, and you're like, oh, look at these like cool items, and I feel like that's kind of how you use it in films, and that really emphasizes that like nostalgia thing, and that theme of nostalgia, and it's really awesome to see. But I mean, speaking of a little bit of nostalgia, we are gonna move on to the second piece. However, in loving memory, it is a current work in progress, something that you started last year at least.
Yeah.
What can we expect as an audience from this piece?
Right, yeah. So for this film, I decided to take on a film essay approach mixed with narrative filmmaking. Basically, I was trying to like address this parts of like the human nature or the human experience that I had in life, and from my perspective, I have like a very hypochondriac kind of like personality, whereby I have a huge fear of my health taking a turn for the worse, and then the mortality of it all. And so I decided I wanted to address that because it was something I was very familiar with, and I feel like is a very strong part of my life, which is just this like question of our place in the world, pretty much. I feel like in order for me to answer that, the best way to do that is through the medium of film, because I feel like in terms of like writing it out, we have like only a limited amount of words to describe the human experience, and I try to take full advantage of the video medium by showcasing like slides of archival footage, or just like acting out scenarios that better represent the kind of message that I'm trying to tell. In this case, I'm just going through this like exploration of the different avenues that you could take on the topic of mortality. And so it's almost like a video essay, in that like I'm explaining this point, giving you arguments, and then like coming to a conclusion and fighting for it. And I do that through the use of archival footage and just overall like media I find off the internet. And then most of it is heavily focused on like the aesthetic of like archival footage, and I feel like this was like one of the first times I was really like showcasing my interest or direction towards using analog footage.
Yeah.
You see that just in my heavy use of like that sort of medium in the archival footage that I collected for this film.
Like personally, I totally do agree though. I really do enjoy your use of like the archival footage and how you interlace it with your actual footage, because I believe you're using a Blackmagic camera for
Exactly.
that. Yeah. So I just like have overall like really enjoyed the direction you are going in, and it's really interesting seeing how much you take from different avenues. Like you not only will look and research at what has happened in history and what is even recorded in history, but also you're willing to record kind of like your perspective of maybe what it would be for you in that time, or what maybe is representative of what you're feeling at that time as well. And I just really do like a lot of how much you mix the aesthetics, but also it's like it almost creates its own aesthetic, and it becomes like it's more of like your aesthetic. It's like, okay, the archival, like it's been done, like video essays is like a certain way, but this is like, when you say like this is like inspired by video essay, I can see the hints of it, but it's like not a video essay. It's more personal than that. It's so much more of you, and I definitely see how much you put yourself into your own visuals as well.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I feel like this movie was definitely just like a testament to my experimentation on and finding that niche.
That's kind of what you are kind of doing in the actual film itself. Like, not necessarily that you're experimenting with the film, but like you're trying to figure out what is the solution for you.
Oh, yeah.
In it, right? So and I think like there's like a little bit of like, you have like almost like a reflection of your work self through the acting self of yourself. Like it's really interesting, like seeing that duality of man. Sorry, I just had to throw that one out there. I do want to bring up the fact, my question usually is, what kind of messages you usually talk about? And we kind of hit that. You've kind of talked about nostalgia and, talked about like kind of what it is to be a human and the human experience. Right. On top of, you also experimenting with aesthetics. But also, I do want to ask, and I'm wondering, if you had a chance, what would you focus on in future projects?
I feel like I want to really explore just more of the stories that kind of like are what make up my life, pretty much. I really subscribe to the belief of like everyone being a mosaic of all the people that they've met, or all the experience they've had in their lives. Yeah. And so I really want to explore more of the many stories that do make up my life, and from like a cultural standpoint, or just even like from a standpoint of like the other people in my life, like the stories that they possibly have. Like
the many perspectives that come with that, right?
Exactly.
Like in one single event, like for example, like a car accident, right? For most case, you have two different parties and they have their cars with their respective people. It could be one, it could be five, but you still have like a variety, and they all have their own story, and they will all tell their own story of that event. But at the end of the day, it's still through their perspective, and it may not be 100% true, it may not be 100% fake, but at the end of the day, like, it is their perspective, it's their story. And it's always interesting to see, like, when it, like, if your story kind of matches up with other people's, or even if they saw it in a different perspective. It's always so interesting to see that, because you don't get to see that often. Other perspective.
Yeah, I totally get that.
So yeah, I'm interested to see what you do, especially with what you're doing in the aesthetics realm as well. Like, I'm intrigued to see what you do pull off for those themes. Right. I will move on to my next question, however.
Yes.
Who or what has inspired you to create art?
I think I've already previously mentioned like Cole Burnett. Yes. He's an American music video artist, and
of Lyrical Lemonade, right?
Yeah. Exactly, yeah. And so his kind of like music videos, I feel like, really dive heavy in experimentation, and I find myself like taking a lot from their approach, and it like having like an impact, and I guess like a role in my approach to filmmaking itself. I like their aesthetic overall of like I was like really exposed to the analog aesthetic used in like music videos like the ones from Colbinet
Yeah.
from him, and so I'm like, yeah, he's definitely one of those big inspirations that I've got. And then another one is I don't know if you're familiar with Terrence Malick.
No, I don't think I have.
He's like this director behind The Tree of Life, Knight of Cups,
Okay.
and these films kind of delve heavily in like topics of the human nature, and yeah, like have truly been an inspiration, made me aware of like myself through those like perspectives, and ways to communicate very complex ideas like that.
Yeah.
Topics about life and spirituality and all that. And so yeah, I feel like those two are like the big ones
Yeah.
that I'm inspired
For
by.
sure. Yeah, I mean, especially in Loving Memory, we can see that there's a little bit more of that kind of religious aspect in your themes as well, which is also really an interesting one because it's just it's not black and white. Sometimes that religion is just so people have their own stances on it,
Totally.
and they have their own reasons that they don't follow, or they have their own reasons that they do follow, and to each their own at that point. I'm not gonna debate about that, but like everyone has their own views, right? And it's always interesting to see what kind of gets them to that point of like, oh, this is my view and this is what I stand for now, right?
Exactly.
Like it's so it's all over the place from person to person.
Indeed, yeah. I feel like the thing about religion and whatnot and those kinds of topics, like you said, they're different from person to person. I like that a lot because it allows for more open-ended discussions about the topic.
Yeah.
And so I kind of use that to my advantage in my films to really explore the different avenues. And in this case, I have an ending, but if I were to end it, it would definitely end on like a very open-ended note. And yeah, I'm not trying to like I guess convince people of taking on certain like beliefs. Obviously,
Of course, yeah.
I just want to encourage that kind of like exploration of the human nature, because I feel like it's very lost on people in their daily lives, and the best way to really communicate that is through the medium of films and whatnot, and yeah, the aesthetics that come with different kinds of mediums like analog and whatnot.
Yeah. The religion, love it. No, but like, no, I totally agree with what you're saying. Like, it's great to see how you mix those themes and the aesthetics. I am really intrigued, about everything you've created, but I do have to ask you the last question of the interview, sadly. How has OCAD helped you with creating your art?
Yeah, I feel like OCAD has been like this. Of course, I have like, the lessons from the different courses, but I feel like I mainly go to just the space itself being like a space that fosters collaboration and like creativity and brainstorming and whatnot. And I really go for, just like the interactions of like my fellow peers and whatnot. Even if you were not that like close with them in class, I find that once our like paths collide at any point of our creative journey, there's like a lot of benefit from just knowing them in previous classes. And I've had instances where people I wasn't close with in class, I end up meeting them later down. Exactly, yeah. And then we end up collaborating, and I find that I wouldn't have that kind of experience if I didn't go to OCAD. And yeah, of course, I can't forget to mention like just the lessons you get from like the professors themselves. I feel like nowadays in my major, the INTM major, they're like really having a more direct approach towards filmmaking. It's more like concise and whatnot. You'll have like classes and professors who bring on people from like the film industry and that helps a whole lot. You know, you get like proper advice from the source, direct source, and yeah, just like being there and having that interaction with those kinds of people, of course, also opens up avenues.
Oh yeah.
You know, in the film industry, because
sure.
I feel like it's definitely not the most, how do I say it, reliable in like
Yeah, it's not the most stable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not the most stable, right? Really need to like expand your, I guess, connections and whatnot. And I find that OCAD definitely offers that avenue. Also, like, of course, the assignments themselves, like, I find myself very motivated from just like being told what to do.
Yeah.
And from like all the different kinds of assignments and like the different criteria you need to meet. I feel like it's very demanding, but at the same time, we spoke to Gerald previously about like the whole idea of bending the rules. I feel like OCAD's got those kinds of like professors who are willing to allow you to do that.
Oh yeah.
And just like the environment itself definitely helps with fostering those kinds of ideas and yeah, basically really pushing yourself creatively using the resources that they have. Of course, I wouldn't have a lot of these shots done if I didn't have the access to the black magic, so
Yeah.
can't forget to mention that. And I feel like there's just a whole lot of benefit from going to OCAD. And I developed the style while in classes.
That's true.
That should speak for itself.
I do agree that their classes are feeling more concise and more, and yes, you know, they give you assignments and you're like, okay, I guess I got to do this. But it is fun when you get to like do something fun within that assignment. You know, that's when you like actually start trying to bend the rules, you do rebel, and you do try and create something you think is in line. Well, maybe not think, but something that is in line with the assignment, but also something that you can also like look at and enjoy at the end of the day. And it's like, it's always so awesome to hear that like that type of collaboration and stuff has kind of propelled you as well to keep creating. And because like I'm not gonna lie, like there's a lot of shots you've done, and I'm like, how the hell, like there's some really crazy ones. And I mean, I've been on a couple of like I was on one of the sets for Shaamas's short film, and like there was like a shot of like you wanted a tear or like the eye drops going into your eye and stuff, and it's like, oh, like this is how we're doing it. So you know, you have like a maybe not necessarily an unorthodox, but not like the typical approach to film, I feel. And that's what's really cool, is seeing like what's that creative way you get to where you want to be.
Exactly. That's totally true. And I wouldn't really have that opportunity without the professors and their like approach to learning and, you know, ability to help foster that kind of like attitude on art. Totally agree.
For sure. Well, thank you so much, Shaamas, for the lovely interview. But before we head out, is there anything you'd like to plug, promote, or put out there for the world to know?
My YouTube channel, my Instagram, from Sham with Love. I'm definitely going to be utilizing social media more and posting more of my content in on that Instagram page. So definitely check it out. You'll be seeing a lot of my projects, and
I'm excited to see what you got going, and I'm sure everyone else will be excited. If you guys are enjoying what you saw today, then please give Shaamas a follow. But that is it for today's episode. Again, thank you so much, Shaamas, for coming to the show. I hope you had a great time as much as I did.
Definitely, yeah.
Well, thank you for coming on the show. And thank you for watching this episode of Artistic Visions. I cannot wait to see you guys very, very soon. Take it easy, and I hope you have a good weekend, or general day. Bye.